Hi, I'm Pernell Walker, and here's the Reparations Show. Come on, get your coin. Hi, y'all. Can y'all hear me? Well, I guess so. Here is tonight's Reparations Show with me, Pernell Walker. And so I want to give you a little rundown of what I'm doing today. My theme is economic justice and financial literacy in terms of what that means for reparations. We have a great show for you. We have a wonderful lineup. We have a film producer and entrepreneur, Felicia Hardin, and we have Mabel Ivory, who's a real estate maven in the making. She will be talking about home ownership and how we can get generational wealth through that. We have Erica Faye Watson, an entrepreneur and business consultant. And we also have Mandy Mason, another entrepreneur who has a wonderful puzzle business called Apostrophe. And rounding out to that end is Charles Biko, who is a stock market consultant and expert. And I just wanted to, because I know the initial beginnings of this show was around the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, I just need to touch on why I picked this theme and its connection to reparations and economic justice in terms of George Floyd's lineage, who I believe his great grandfather Hillary Thomas Stewart was a slave. He got his freedom at age 8 and settled near Goldsboro, North Carolina by age 21. And he accumulated 500 acres of land and married a woman who was named Larcinia, who would bear him 22 children. Now, the end of the story is tragic and is why reparations is needed. The couple couldn't read or write. A white farmer settled on their land, basically stole it, and they were powerless to fight back. And so many generations later, here we are. So we have a wonderful lineup. That quote was from the LA Times about George Floyd's lineage, June 3rd. So again, I thank you for coming, and I want to introduce Kevin R. Free. Kevin R. Free, can you come with me?
Yeah. Ow, ow, ow.
Here I have to get it popping, BX in
yes.
here.
I'm ready. Listen, I'm ready. Yes. Pernell Walker, listen, I know we have a big show to talk about. I just wanted to get in here and thank you for hosting the show. Several people have said, how come you haven't asked Pernell Walker to host the show? So, and it's the reason why was because I knew that you would get all deep on us and actually talk about reparations.
Because I read
actual financial reparations. So you were the first person to do that. So I am really, really excited about all of your interviews, and I'm really excited to learn what I can learn. I love you, and I am going to get out of here so you can get on with your show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, you're welcome.
Right. Take me out, Morgan. Get me.
So thank you so much. And so I want to give a shout out to Benja and Alicia. I know I saw y'all in the chat. So we're going to start out with, could we play the recording? Also, we're going to have opinions on reparations via recording and videos. You're going to see it throughout the show. And the first one I would like to play is from Reggie Moore. his opinion on reparations and his family ties to that. And then we're going to get on into the Felicia Harden interview about her fabulous Happy documentary about the beginnings of economics, period, from Egypt. Okay? So let's shoot that footage of Reggie Moore's opinion on reparations and its need. And yeah, we'll go right into the interview.
My name is Reginald Moore. I live in Potomac, Maryland. I have a long line of family from Maryland dating back to the late 1700s. My family's view on reparations is the fact that for black folks to succeed in America, we should have land, faith, and education. So any reparation package in terms of descendants have to include those three things and have to include strengthening the institutions that those three things represent. The black community has a responsibility to have the tools to strengthen itself. Thank you for your time.
Hello, Reparations Show. I got dope friends. Hey. So my guest on today, her name, well, first of all, she's amazing. She's a successful entrepreneur and homeowner. She is the partner of Harlem Hops, right? In Harlem?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she is Detroit born. I didn't know you were born in Detroit. Say word.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yes, Detroit, the D.
So she fly, okay, Reparations Show. She is an executive producer, and she is producing this really great film about financial literacy, and it is giving a snapshot into economic history in spanning the dawn of civilization. You better be deep, okay? And so she said she makes films in her bio that inspire her as a Black woman, and I appreciate that. She's trained as an occupational therapist, occupational therapy. Child, I'm going to need occupational therapy to pronounce this. Prestigious Howard University.
Feeling about reparation.
Many moons ago. So you're a film producer, you're a filmmaker. One of your first films had to deal with your breast cancer diagnosis, which was really a touching film in 2014. And now you moved on to producing this really informative, great project called Happy. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of it. And I wanted to start off, since we're talking about economic justice and financial literacy, with a quote from a New York Times article that was back in June when all the stuff was hitting off with George Floyd and reparations started kicking back up again in articles talking about the need that America needs to pay the African American descendants of slaves what they are owed. And she says, wealth is security and peace of mind. It's not incidental that wealthier people are healthier and live longer. Wealth is, as a recent Yale study states, the most consequential index of economic well-being for most Americans. But wealth is not something people create solely by themselves. It is accumulated across generations. New York Times article, June 30th, by Nicole Hannah Jones. And she says, if true justice and equality are ever to be achieved in the United States, the country must finally take seriously what it owes Black Americans. So starting with that, honey, we got to talk about your great film, Happy, and congratulations on the continuing discussion you have on the YouTube page of Happy, in which, you know, I mean, you can tell us about it. You're muted right now. I don't know why.
Yes, yeah, Happy Talks. Yeah, it is a continued dialogue about the documentary. And it's interesting because it came about because of COVID. We were supposed to have a premiere of Happy, the role of Economics and the Development of Civilization. That's the whole like name of the film or documentary. Amazing. And we were supposed to open up at the Schomburg here in Harlem, but then COVID happened and we had to, rethink what we were going to do, because our, we had actually already booked theaters across about 4 states, and we had talkback scheduled as well. So we decided to kind of take the talkback piece onto the internet. And so that's how Happy Talk started. But now it's become its own like huge entity in terms of just getting like real scholarship on there. We've had some really solid scholars, historians, politicians up on there. So it's been really enlightening, to say the least. But yes, and I like Ms. Jones's quote. She's very, I'm really familiar with her because she does a lot of things like with education. And so, I agree with what she's saying.
So what inspired you on this path to even like think to work on Happy? Like, how did that come together? And like, you just picked that topic of, going back into civilization and retelling what it was with the economics and the financial literacy back then. You know.
Well, so, actually I was in a car waiting for my kids. They were in Kumon classes. Okay. And this guy was standing on the street and they had like a little film crew, and I guess he was waiting for the cinematographer to come back. And so I was like, oh, what are you guys shooting? So he started telling me this, Happy, the role of, I was like, oh, okay. And he mentioned something about Egypt. And I think I might've said, oh, I want to go there. He's like, oh, I also, take people there. I have a tour company. I was like, oh, you do. And can I get some information? So I got information, and then I decided to call him up and figure out how to give him a deposit, because I was like, I want to go to Egypt. And so in the course of me talking to him about that, at the time, I think he might have said I'm the director. I can't remember those details. He did tell me the movie, so I remember going home and Googling it, and they had a GoFundMe page. And so like I gave, a couple dollars, because I feel like if you're Black and you see other Black people making films, you should just give them money, because 9 times out of 10, they need it. And so, I just made, a donation and stuff. And it was really in the preparing to go to Egypt is when I learned more about the film. And initially I wasn't like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, I was like, oh, okay. But when I would talk to him on the phone about Egypt, and then I would ask about the film, I was sort of adding like my 2 cents. And then finally, he, I think I might have said, yeah, I kind of do film. I've been doing it for up until that point, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And so I was like, yeah, and so it just seems like the little things I was saying turned into be bigger and, like just more and more and more. And so literally I sort of wrote my own ticket onto the project. And at this point, when I started working with them, they had about 80% of the principal photography already shot. So I came and we kind of finished up, and I was really instrumental in the after, like the post-production piece. Okay. And so the film was produced by Tahuti Films. They were all Black production team. It's him and his wife, which is really cool. And and so, and I started to learn all these things. So it's interesting because I didn't know Happy meant the Nile River, and I didn't know that the first construct of economics came from the Happy River, the Nile River. There was no other concept of nothing. It was an exchange, because Happy represents the exchange from person to person. And so back then, the currency, because a lot of times when we're talking about economics, everyone thinks we're talking about money, but it's a, in your relationship, there's economics going on, because it's about relationships. It's the reciprocity that happens in relationships. So if I'm with you, you want me to do such and such, and in return, what am I going to get? You know what I'm saying? And when someone feels like they're being cheated, then that's when relationships dissolve. And it's the same thing with money and with everything. But going back to Egypt, so this is where the first, if I had this type of crop and you didn't have this, then we exchanged. And so this whole bartering system, all of that started in Kemet. Okay.
Wow.
The Nile would flood, and then it would leave this rich silt that made crops just grow crazy. And this is, so this is how this, give and take all started. And from there is where we have this, massive, economic system now. But it started there. But we trace, like in the documentary, we start, in Egypt, and we take you everywhere. The transatlantic slave. I even hate saying it. But that whole movement, we take you everywhere, and we end up to where we are right now. And so knowing the history can inform where we go from now, from here, rather.
That is amazing. I'm learning. Yeah. Oh, by the way, there is a screening of Happy December 26th, 7 p.m. And the tickets are $25. That's economical, y'all. You get all this information.
Because the thing about it is, like, you not only get to see the film, so after you're done with the film, we have cast members, and we have this little private panel discussion afterwards on Zoom. And everybody's like, oh, I didn't make it. Can you send it to me? Nope. If you're not there, we have like elders, and these people, they are dropping science, and it's like a conversation just with our people. And so we never know where it's going to go. We don't know who is, we invite people to come, and we know who's coming, but sometimes special people just pop in, so it's really, it's cool. I mean, and if you don't want to come to the screening, I mean, you can go to our website and you can get a DVD, or you can go to Vimeo through our website, go to Vimeo and stream it and get a digital download. And so there's different ways, you can get to it.
This is so amazing. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm happy. Yeah. I'm excited. This is good.
Yeah. When people see it, even elders who have seen like gobs of films, and especially about Kemet, they're like, they've never seen a film that talks about Kemet in this way, or is told from a Black perspective, because there's no film out there that talks about Kemet from a Black perspective. And when you're looking at the film, you're like, wow, everybody's Black. There's a couple, we have, a couple of people who are not Black in the film, but the majority, which is like 98% of people in there are, us telling our story. And it's a nice mixture of not just men, but it's men and women. It's the same principle that, that started the Hopi River, that started the, civilization, this complementary relationship with men and women. So it's cool.
That is amazing. I have a question. What advice would you give to someone that's looking to go in filmmaking, but they're not really financially literate of how to fundraise for themselves, or how to even go about doing this?
So this film now, so we're probably not going to start off making a Hopi, because Hopi was an expensive film to make. Okay. And so this, when it comes to like, if you want to do something, right? Like right now is the best time to do anything, because one, if you have a cell phone, you can be a filmmaker. Like, you don't have to, I think as Black folks, we have to stop looking at what Western civilization decides what is like the right way to do something. This is not how this goes. We have to keep remembering, and this is a whole piece about knowing your history. We have to keep remembering like where things started. It started with us. Oscar Micheaux. Oscar Micheaux was like the first filmmaker to have color.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is before. So, so we have to just kind of keep these things in perspective. So the first thing you need to do is actually volunteer on other people's film sets, because no one is going to want to work for you, especially if you're not paying them. If they don't know who you are. And so my thing is you just volunteer and work on other people's film sets for free. It is like the best schooling, because you get to see everything. You get to see what things work, what things don't work, what jobs you might want to do, because a lot of times it seems like, oh, it's cool to be, I'm the director, woo, I'm the producer, woo. But there's a bunch of other things you can be on films that are less stressful, ones where you don't have to raise money, you don't have to control talent, like, it's other things. And the other piece is that really get like your story, the way you want to tell it together. And listen, I'm not a proponent, I went to school, I went to Howard, for occupational therapy, and I ended up getting a master's in filmmaking. But not everyone has to go on that track. Like everyone's different. And so, kind of deciding, really looking into yourself and say, okay, what do I need? Am I a person that does a lot better if I go to school and there's some structure there? Then go to school. Maybe I'm a person that needs to get out there and make a film. I can tell you this though, every film, just like you, because you're an actress, every role that you've been in has actually taught you something about acting and about yourself. Yes. Like if you put yourself in it, you're like, okay, So it's like when you make a film, it's like, woof, you learn a lot of things all at one time. So, that's the thing I would report. I wouldn't go out there trying to be, like Spike Lee on my first thing out there. I would first just go volunteer on other people's things and get your feet wet. You've never made a film before, and you have to, it's a slow process. It's not something, you just go out there and jump into.
Wow. And you're also amazing in that you're very financially literate and that you have created different ways of, different kinds of income to attain your own generational wealth and things that you'll pass on to your children. How would you advise somebody just starting out that they don't know how to save, they don't know what to do first on how to get their own generational wealth going?
Yeah. So one thing we like about the film is that there's something, so it's the Hoppy film, right? Then there's the Hoppy movement. And there's we're starting off with 3 tenets. The first one is, teach the youth the truth. Well, they're not in any order, but teach the youth the truth. The second one is to try to become financially literate. And the other one is to support other Black businesses. So in the world of the internet, okay, like that, I think the internet has been great. And are there people that you can just start like you can start following them and figuring out how to get this done? Absolutely. Lynn Richardson, love her. Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's actually in our film. Another good one. He has a financial business school. So does Lynn Richardson. I like to give man and woman, but they both have financial business schools that you can just go to and start to get this piece. But before you even get to that part, you have to first assess your situation and decide what are your financial goals. Like we just did a post on our Hoppy Instagram and Facebook page and Twitter, but we were asking like, what are your financial goals? So like, first, what do you want to do? Like you just want to just have money so you can throw it up in the air and do a video, like, I don't know, like Young Jeezy and Peasy and all these little people. Or, I don't even think the names just sound like money. Yeah. But like literally, like what is it that you want to do? And then you gotta look at yourself. All these things start with looking at yourself. Are you a person, like what do you need? Do you need somebody standing over you? Like, did you put your money in the bank? Or is there, like, are you that type of person? Or are you the type of person if you like talk to some people, you listen to some lectures, you read some, you're like, okay, now I know what to do. Let's start like with that piece. So once you kind of get how you're going to get the information, then it's literally about you setting a goal and making it happen. There's so many ways, but we also have to be open, and we have to understand that if you're just working a 9 to 5, you're never going to be rich or even have generational wealth just working a 9 to 5. We have to do other things. We have to invest our money. We have to buy property. We have to you have a business, a home-based business is great because then it allows us to have the ability to take off, to take advantage of all the tax deductions that happen. That when you're just working for somebody and getting, the W-2 income, you're not able to access those tax relief. So that's really important. But we can't just do one thing. It's okay to have a 9 to 5, but that's cool. But you got to have some other streams of income, like 7 of them.
That's pre-COVID. So
yeah,
have
yeah, and the thing about this is that you have to actually believe that you're worthy of having generational wealth. The reason why we don't do things is because we don't think that we're worthy of having it. And then there's always a little naysayer. There's always a little hater in the group that's sitting there. You can't get that. That's because that. you got to shut that down.com, and you can only talk to people who are going to help you get it. That's it. Like, the little other people you can't associate. They can't enter your psyche. They can't do that. So.
I know that's right. You better preach. You preach hey, you preaching today.
No, and the thing about it is like I'm still learning. So it's not like I'm like, I'm financially independent. I'm retired now. Absolutely not.
No, but you're very well like in your home owning, in your business, so you have different ways of even if COVID hits, a lot of people are not going to be financially crippled by it because they've set themselves up to where they have the flexibility. If they have an emergency, they have the funds there. So that's I feel you on that. So like, okay, like one of my last questions, and then I wanna know all of the handles so everybody know where to find Happy, where to find you. What are 3 major lessons you have learned on your journey of attaining financial literacy and generational wealth? Like, did you learn from your parents or did you learn from like your family members? Like, what's 3 things?
Okay, so
your face was like, okay.
Because I was trying to think, I was like, so I think yes, my family, but not in the sense like my family had it all together and I was able to learn. I learned some things from them that I was like, I don't want this to happen to me. So in looking, I was like, I'm gonna try to do something different. I always felt like my parents worked way too much for a little amount of money that white folks gave them. So I was like, okay, I'm going to change that little narrative around. I was thinking that's going to have to be different. Yeah. And I think my second lesson is that I actually listen. So I look at people who I like what they're doing, and I'm not talking about people we see on TV, but just people like in your regular life. I pay attention to what they're doing and I ask a bunch of questions. And I'm, so far here in my life, people have been gracious enough to actually answer my questions and offer me something. And I think because I offer, then they offer. And so that's, again, going back to like economics, that's the whole piece. I think that's the main, that might be actually number 1. It's just just really looking to see what works and just inquiring about it. And what's the third? Wait, you said this is like things that have helped me become more financially literate?
Yeah, right? three major lessons. It's a reoccurring thing between my guests. They've always said, ask for help. And the people that are like affluent or living in abundance, they're so willing to share their information.
But you know what? Yeah, it is so wild because like they can share it with 10 people and only 2 people gonna actually like listen to it and and like do something with it. But the other piece, the other piece is making sure that we are taking care of ourselves financially for when we're not here. A lot of times, like we do have some form of wealth, but because we didn't plan to die, then that money goes away, just goes, people, it goes to the state, estate planning is that is a very real thing that more Black people need to do. So that's, making sure you have life insurance, making sure you have a will, a trust, a health proxy. Like these are things that I don't think that we are really aware of. And that's another way our generational wealth is just going out the window.
Yeah,
the state just comes with money.
Yeah, and I was just like, there's people that I know that their parents died, and then they had to settle it out, and then everybody comes out the woodwork. Like, wait, I know Nana from and her house was in, it's all these different things. I mean, even Prince didn't have a will. I'm like, okay, and what's that? GoFundMe is not an insurance policy.
No. And the thing about this, yes, and the thing about it is that, one thing I wish I would have known is that, like, I had life insurance, right? But I didn't have whole life. So when I ended up getting cancer, I wasn't thinking about it. Then when I ended up getting insurance for the kids, So I was like, when I really started learning about life insurance, I was like, I gotta get this for my kids. So I started getting, in the process, I was like, I'm gonna get some for myself. Well, because I had cancer, I couldn't get whole life insurance. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I gotta make sure I tell everybody who is healthy at any time, get life insurance, whole life insurance, because that's the kind that matters. The whole life insurance. And the younger you get, the better off your kids will be. And so now, because of COVID, they're changing some things around. So I may be able to get life insurance now. It looks pretty promising, but the rate is going to be so much higher. So that's what I'm saying. So if you are, if you're younger, you need to be getting life insurance. Like that's very important, because again, that's a stream of income. Wow. It matures, that's a straight up stream of income. That's tax deductible.
And you can use so crazy that you said like right now you don't have life insurance, or you have it's just like partial.
Yeah. And so I have to make sure I have other things put in place. But a lot of things will kick you out of not having life insurance, which I didn't know. And so that's why I'm saying it's this whole notion of like we have to plan when we're not here, or when we're incapacitated, or what I'm saying, or if we're disabled. We have to really plan for those things. And so a lot of times we look at it, we're like, oh, if I had so much money I have to spend for this, or like to set up a trust for my family, that it costs money, but at the end of the day it saves way more money.
Wow.
So it's not just good enough just to have a will. That's not, you got to get a will and a trust.
And okay, what is the difference between a will and a trust?
Okay, so since I'm not a financial estate planner, but let me tell you what I do know.
Well,
is that like a trust will make sure that so when you have a will, just because it's not like the movies, how when you have a will and you like, I leave Pernell this, I leave my, but what happens be presented in court. Okay. And so now is the process. So now it's in court, and then the executor of the will can then start to do what you wanted it to do. But there's a probate, piece of this. But an actual trust, as soon as you pass away, it's inactivated. It's activated rather. It's activated. So you don't miss a beat. Somebody's supposed to get such and such. Like you will decide where your assets go, and it's immediately applied. And so all the things that you own right now that are solely like in your name, you can put those in trust. So like your house, on the deed, you'll put yourself, and you'll put in care of Felicia Hardin's house or whatever. So it's like the trust owns the house, and you own it personally. So if something happens, I've already said that, okay, all my homes go to my kids. There's no delineation of, there's no like time lapse in that. It just automatically happens. And then creditors, they can't come and say, oh, let me get your house, whereas a will, sometimes things are a little shady. So, but again, people should just actually talk to a real estate planner and not a filmmaker about estate planning. But it's one thing, we gotta have both of them.
Wow.
Yeah, we have to have both.
So amazing, eye-opening. I am so proud of you. Y'all, Reparations show. The film is Happy, and they're having a screening on December 26th, 7 p.m. Do they just go to the website and start the screening and pay their?
Yep. Okay. Yep, they can go to happyfilm.com. And they will get, they'll sign up. And then on the day of, we send out the link for the movie. And usually around like 30 minutes before it starts. And after that, we'll send you also the link so that you can, after you finish watching the film, then you sign on, and then you can see the panel discussion, which is really, it's like fire.
Wow. It's fire. I'm so proud of you. Oh,
and and one more thing, girl. So, because this is a reparations show. So Happy Talks actually we had a conversation with Dr. Julianne Malvo.
I love her.
I love her. She's in our film, and the Ketchy Tafa. they talked about reparations because both of them sit on the committee for reparations. And when I would say, just go to YouTube and look at our Happy Talks. If you go to Happy Film on YouTube, you can see all of our Happy Talks. But look at the one with Dr. Julianne Malvo and Nkechi Tafa. And they talk about reparations in a way that we've never talked about it. And they systematically take us through why reparations are needed, who had it, who got reparations before, what it takes to actually get reparations. Right. But then like when you look at it, you'll see it's a really good show. I think we had it screened. We did a live in October, like October 22nd or 29th. I think it's the 22nd. Just go and look at it because it's really a true show about reparations. It's very good.
Thank you so much for doing this interview. Thank you. I got so much love for you. And my friends are flying. All right, Reparations Show. This has been Felicia Harden. And she's dope and she's innovative. And this is just the beginning for you, Mama. So thank you so much.
Love you, girl.
Yes, love you too. Peace out.
All right.
Yes.
For chattel slavery, for the rapes, breeding, beatings, and lynchings, for having to dig up our family tree and rediscover our ancestors, for the broken promises, no acre, no mule, because the Native Americans, Japanese Americans, and Jews were compensated, for billions of dollars made from the slave trade, for Jim Crow, sundown towns, medical experiments, cocaine and crack funneled into the hood, the war on drugs, for every slain civil rights leader, for every Black person harassed and killed by cops, for the pay gap, the education gap, for trumped up charges, for Trump, for unjust and unjustified incarcerations, for cellular memories we can't erase, for post-traumatic slave syndrome, for not unleashing all our anger on this country, because it's the right thing to do, because you owe us.
Yes, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Felicia Harden and that opinion piece by Germano Toussaint. Brilliant artist, brilliant musician. So now we're going to segue into why home ownership is one of the top ways to attain your generational wealth, economic justice, and becoming financially literate in doing so. So one of the people I talked to was one of the top licensed real estate experts, Mabel Ivory, who has been in her field for more than a decade. And she also was an executive for, I think, Time Inc. for a time. And so, yeah, my conversation with her was very eye-opening, and I learned so much about home ownership and all of the benefits and how that creates generational wealth. So, without further ado, here's my interview with the one and only Mabel Ivory.
Welcome to 2BS at 800 Grand Concourse. This contemporary chic 1-bedroom, 1-bath is available furnished or unfurnished with gorgeous park views, a dining alcove that can be made into a home office or a second bedroom. It's a dream. Grand Concourse is right across the street from this beautiful park. 800 Grand Concourse is a full-service luxury building with 24-hour doorman, valet parking, no wait list, and a 10-minute commute to Manhattan. I'm Mabel Ivory. I'd love to hear from you. Let's explore the possibilities.
One. Hey, Reparations Show. We have a treat for you. We have the lovely, the professional, the always closing Mabel Ivory, the licensed, amazing real estate broker of Ingle and Volkers, New York. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this fabulous friend and good lady. I mean, you got to get in touch with her. She knows so much about her field, and she's just fantastic. Mabel Ivory's real estate career has spanned over a decade. Yes, close, get the coin. As a top-selling agent in the South Bronx, she has interviewed for CNBC, The Real Deal, The New York Times, and The New York Post. As a neighborhood expert, Mabel's innate ability to identify her clients' desires and build a workable plan of action to meet their needs stems from her personal experience as a New York City first-time home buyer, co-op owner, seller, real estate investor, and landlord. And without further ado, the fabulous Miss Mabel Ivory. Thank you so much for joining us on the Reparations Show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, everyone.
Yes. And I just want to start off with a little quote from an article from NPR that was shown or heard on audio 2017, May 3rd, about redlining. And real estate agents, we need you to be informed about how to combat the redlining that happened. Now, redlining was something that the Federal Housing Administration, which was established in 1934, it furthered the segregation efforts by refusing to insure mortgages in and near African American neighborhoods, a policy known as redlining. The government's efforts were primarily designed to provide housing to white, middle-class, lower-class families. So we're talking about economic justice and financial literacy, and this is a fantastic topic about that because it's another way to gain that generational wealth we want. So what inspired you on this path of real estate and getting your start in generational wealth?
Okay, and before I begin about me, if you want to know more about redlining, especially as it pertains to the South Bronx, there's an excellent documentary called Decade of Fire. PBS actually aired it. It's online. It talks all about the Bronx, the period of the Bronx when the buildings were burning and the landlords were intentionally setting these buildings on fire to get the insurance money, and how these districts were redlined. So qualified buyers of color were unable to get loans, even though they had the income, even though they had the credit. The banks would not lend in these areas. So what's happening now is there's a correction. A lot of the first-time homebuyer grants being offered by banks like Bank of America and Chase are a result of them not doing loans in these urban areas. So if you're looking to buy in an area where there's a low rate of home ownership, like a Harlem or a Bronx, these banks have pools of money set aside to help you as a first-time home buyer because they realize that they're not doing enough loans and they need to get their numbers up. But Decade of Fire, Google it. I think PBS might be airing it online, and it may be streaming in a few other places. It's a great way to learn about redlining and how it played out in the Bronx and what the outcome and the impact of it was. So on to what inspired me to get into real estate. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised. I was fortunate enough to come to New York in '94. I got a scholarship to NYU, and I graduated and I never looked back. And home ownership was something in the Midwest that was very attainable. You know, you have a job, you have a W-2, you pay your bills on time, you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage. In New York City, it's something of privilege to be a homeowner. 80% of the people who live in New York City are tenants. But I aspired to be a homeowner because that's what I grew up with. And I graduated school. I had a really great career at Time Inc. I had some money. And I was one of the first people to do the lottery before the lottery became a lottery, when, you know, anyone who applied could get a home. And my first co-op was at 1787 Madison. I was the first owner of 608 at 1787 Madison in East Harlem. And I bought at a time where we were buying on a plan. There was just a bunch of empty lots on Madison before you got to Marcus Garvey Park. And it was a time when people questioned, well, Mabel, why would you want to be east of Fifth Avenue? That's nothing, you know. And I bought and I was grateful to buy. And in the process of going through the lottery, and my down payment was $7,500. I borrowed my down payment to buy a 2-bedroom, 2-bath new construction in East Harlem for $151,000. My down payment was 5%. And I was just amazed at what I was able to achieve. And I started helping people just for free. I was not a licensed real estate agent. I was just so excited about what I was able to do in getting first-time home ownership. I was helping people, telling them about the seminars, telling them about the mortgages, telling them who to call with the city in order to get into the lottery. And one woman who got into Rosa Parks condominium in Harlem actually sent me a $500 American Express gift card. And she said, Mabel, I wouldn't have been able to do this without you. At which point I recognized there was value that I was doing for free. And I became a licensed real estate agent. And this was still while I was working part-time at Time Inc. So I didn't quit my day job. I kept my day job. And my first client was actually one of my colleagues at Essence Magazine. She bought a 2-bedroom in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, which is now PLG. She bought a 2-bedroom for $200,000. She was my first client. Her apartment's now worth $1 million. So my very first client who bought a home is now a millionaire in terms of the equity that she gained. And I love telling that story because she invested in me. She gave me the opportunity. I found her something great. And the benefit she has of having this co-op that's worth so much money now because her area gentrified. It just makes me feel good. I got into the right career. And this is why I do it, because home ownership is the #1 pathway to wealth. It's through home ownership. And as a woman of color who did it, who helped so many people who are underrepresented and underserved, it is so gratifying to know that when I can work with someone and because of my work, they were able to achieve this. And I set them on the track for their wealth, their future wealth. There's no better feeling for me with my work than to help somebody become a homeowner.
That is amazing. Oh, I love it. I'm so glad you're here. So, what advice would you give to somebody that they don't know anything about homeowning, their family never had a history of homeowning, and they want to be more literate financially about homeowning and what the perks and benefits are? What are, where's the money? Where's going to show up in my life?
There's a lot of money available, grants and other programs. Attend a first-time homebuyer workshop. If you are in the New York City area, Reverend Charles Butler of HCCI does an excellent workshop, and it's almost free. I think it's now $20. Several sessions. They meet in the evenings or on the weekends, once a week. And HCCI, which is Harlem Congregations Community something, I forgot the last letter, but HCCI is certified with New York City to do these first-time homebuyer workshops. So when you complete with them, you'll actually get a certificate, which can then be applied towards a lot of the grants that the banks have available. For example, Bank of America is offering 3% of the purchase price for your down payment, up to $7,500. They will pay for closing costs if you are a first-time home buyer buying in certain areas of the city. And these programs do require you attend the first-time home buyer workshop. But what that's going to do is that's going to tell you what it means to be a homeowner, how much it costs, what kind of credit you need. How do you go into the New York City lottery? Because it's not just about applying online. There's strategies behind how to get selected for the lottery. So you don't just want to go online and, oh, I'm going to do, there's things to do in order to increase the odds of you being selected for affordable homeownership lottery. So these seminars are key. If you're not in the New York City area, most banks do have a first-time homebuyer seminar. There are also resources available online. So educate yourself. That is key. Number 2, commitment. So the first thing, if it's great to look online at homes, but you should have a real estate agent. A buyer's agent's services are free of charge to you because their commission is paid by the seller of the property. So there's no reason to be on your own 100%. We know how to negotiate. We know what questions to ask. We know how to prevent you from making a bad purchase decision. We're going to help you do everything you need to do to make sure this is the right property for you. There are no outstanding issues. You want to work with the real estate agent. You also want to get pre-approved for a mortgage. Even if you're not ready, a bank will tell you, okay, based on your credit, based on your income, based on your savings, this is how much home you can afford. And if you can't get qualified, there's a lot of power in knowing, okay, a bank will not qualify me now, but here are the things that I need to do. I need to save more money. I need to pay down debt. I need to maybe get a supplemental income so that I can have money going towards savings. The other thing I encourage people to do is to purchase with family. So if you are maybe, you could purchase a multifamily property, right? And you live on one floor, another family member lives on another floor, and then you rent out the garden for rental income to offset your mortgage. So you don't have to look at doing it alone. Some people have a little bit of money available to them. Let's say you have $10,000. That may not be able to afford you anything in the 5 boroughs, but that doesn't mean you can't own. You can look at outside the city. There are many markets where you can do an FHA loan, which allows a 3.5% down payment. You can do that outside of the city and have an investment property, right? Especially now where mortgage interest rates are the lowest they've ever been in the history the federal government has been tracking, which is in the 70s. I have clients who are getting 2.5% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. Fixed. This is not a variable interest rate. This is not an interest only. This is like principal interest, the whole enchilada, 2.5%. It's almost like you're able to borrow the money free to purchase real estate. So if you have good credit and you have some savings available and you have steady employment or income and you want to be a homeowner, there are various ways you can do that. It may not be the 5 boroughs of New York City, but that doesn't mean you can't look at outside markets. I purchased my co-op in Yonkers in Westchester County prior to the pandemic. My co-op is now worth at least $50,000 more than what I purchased it last year, just because now we're in a pandemic. I have private outdoor space and views. I'm on a top floor. So the value that's been placed on what I have now and being in the suburbs just increased. So my timing was just exceptional to get into this emerging market prior to. So also get emerging markets. There's a lot of emerging markets that are still affordable outside of New York City. That would be a great starting point to home ownership.
Wow, fabulous. And there's also tax benefits, something about being able to keep some money without no taxes on it.
Yes. I'm so glad you asked that question.
The taxes on
it. So when you pay rent, for example, I have a client who is first-time home buyer. She and her husband and son have been paying $2,000 a month in rent to live in just a rinky-dink 2-bedroom in Astoria. Astoria's a great neighborhood, but there's nothing special about the apartment. It's loud. It's just not anything. Their son got into the Bronx School of Science. They called me because they want to move closer to where he's going to school. They're very proud of him. They don't want him to have a long commute. I found them a 2-bedroom in Norwood on a beautiful, quiet block that's near the hospital for $190,000. Their mortgage and their maintenance payment's going to be $1,400. They are saving $600 a month by ownership, but that's not the only thing they're saving. Going to tax savings. The government says you do not have to pay taxes on the mortgage interest you pay to the bank. How the banks make their money is by charging interest on the money you borrow. So for example, if you have a mortgage note that's $1,000 in the first, and it's a 30-year note, 30 years that you'll be paying the mortgage till you pay it off. In the first 5-10 years of that loan, the bank is going to take their interest payment up front. That's how they profit. So if you're paying $1,000 a month, $950 will be applied towards interest and $50 will be applied towards principal. And as the years progress in the loan, it'll get more applied to the principal and the interest, but the banks take their profits up front. Wow. So that's almost $1,000 a month tax deductible. So when you go to do your taxes at the end of a 12-month year, That's almost a $12,000 statement from the bank that you'll give to the IRS that I paid nearly $12,000 in interest to the bank. And the IRS will say, okay, you don't have to pay taxes on that money. That's a deduction credit.
Wow.
In addition, if you're in a co-op, your property taxes in general are tax deductible. There are some caps on how much you can take that were just implemented by the administration. We're looking to overturn that. But for most people within a middle income bracket, you're not going to have limits on how much you can deduct for your property taxes. So a lot of co-ops, your maintenance, let's say the maintenance is $500, 30 or 40 or even 50% of that $500 might be property taxes that you're paying. So the co-op will send you a statement at the end of the year. So if my maintenance is like $500 and 50% is tax deductible, that's $250 a month that I can take as a deduction. So in addition to that, like $12,000 interest to the bank, my co-op is going to send me a statement saying, hey, Mabel, you paid about $3,000 in taxes. So I got 15 grand. When I do my taxes, I will apply as a deduction. Meanwhile, every month I'm paying on my loan, my wealth is building. So for example, when I bought my car up in Harlem, I was single, no kids. I rarely ever got any tax return. Sometimes I ended up owing money because I didn't have my own business. I wasn't a real estate agent. I was a W-2 employee. There were no deductions. The first year I did my taxes after becoming a homeowner of that co-op, I got a $7,500 return from the IRS because I had so many deductions. When I went to sell my property, I sold it for about $400,000. I paid $151 for it. The most beautiful thing is you do not pay capital gains taxes on the profits you make of the sale of your primary residence. Federal government, and there's an IRS pub on this. I'm sorry, I don't know the publication number, but there's an IRS pub that talks about capital gains exemption for the sale of primary residences. So if you live in your property at least 2 years and it's your primary residence and you go to sell it, if you're a single person, the government says you do not have to pay up to $250,000 on the taxes. So let's say I bought my property for $250,000. I've lived there 2 years. I'm going to sell it and I'm selling it for $500,000. I have a $250,000 profit. I bought it for $250,000. I sold it for $500,000. There's $250,000 that I'm going to get a check for. I don't have to pay taxes on that as a single person. Now, if I'm married, that exemption doubles to $500,000. Tax-free. This is why real estate is the #1 road to wealth. So the biggest piece of advice I can give you is to get started. This is not, your first home is a starter property. It's not where you're going to spend your last days. Most people, don't look at it like, oh, I have to buy a townhome in Harlem for $1 million. And until I can buy that, I'm not going to do anything. No, get in the game.
Yes.
It's like when you start working and maybe one day you want to be the director in your organization. You're not going to start out as a director. You're going to start out as probably someone's assistant manager, and then you're going to work your way out. Real estate's the same thing. Locate a property that is within your level of affordability, that is in an up and coming emerging market, a place where you feel it's going to go up in value. So this is what I did for the South Bronx. This is why I'm so popular there, because I made people a lot of money, and my clients continue to make money. They bought like a co-op at 800 Grand Concourse for $150,000 2 years ago. I'm not talking like they had to be there 10 years. They're selling them for $300,000. They have $150,000 profit that they can then go back to Harlem and buy that townhome. And they have $150,000 to put down on the down payment for the townhome or the multifamily or wherever it is. They started out with $150,000. They bought in a good neighborhood in an emerging market. And in 2 years, they double their money and they took their profits and then they traded up to a larger property. That's how you do it. But if you don't get started and you just keep paying rent every month, you're never going to get there. So get started. Even if it's modest, it's a win. You're not paying rent. You're paying towards your own wealth and the property that you're living in is growing in value every month you live there. So that's how you do it. Don't not do it. And don't worry about, oh, is the market going to go down? Is now a good time? It's a good time to be owning your own home, regardless of whether the market is up or down. Yes. You don't need to continue paying a landlord if you can afford, especially if you're paying like $2,000 or more a month. That is a mortgage and a maintenance somewhere. Somewhere in the New York tri-state area, I can find you something that you can buy $2,000 that you can own that replaces that rent you're paying. So you can afford it. You can't afford not to do this.
And as
my 2 cents.
Listen.
And yeah, I'm a Prince fan, so I'm going to check out my
Come on, Prince. and in that, you just answered the next question that I was saying. I was like, what 3 major lessons you have learned on your journey? Child, you just said get started.
Get started. Ask for help. I have a client who 800 Grand Concourse. I use this as an example because I'm the #1 broker there. It's a wonderful building near the courthouse, 10 minutes to Manhattan. Doorman, valet parking, beautiful building. First-time home buyer. They require 20% down payment. She had some of the money, but not all the money. I said, ask your family. She's like, oh, but I want to do this on my own. I was like, no one doesn't, not really. Like a lot of millennials, most people don't buy their homes on their own. They're getting some assistance and support. It's allowed by the banks and the co-ops to get a gift of some sort. She went to her mother. Her mother said, you know, honey, I had some money I was going to give to you when I passed away, but you're buying a home and this is so important for you. I'm going to give it to you now. I would rather you have it now to buy your home and to get started and to build your wealth than when I die. And how many people is that you have somebody in your family that all you have to do is ask, just here, I gotta do it by myself. You know, you think there's something noble about doing it on your own. And most people, Trump didn't do it on his own. His daddy was a real estate tycoon.
Okay.
His daddy hooked him up. Now he'll never admit that. He want to make you think that he was self-made. Trump ain't self-made. It was Daddy Trump that had the wealth and the empire, and he just handed it on a silver platter to his son. Said, here.
That's true.
And that's how it happens. And that's actually how it's supposed to happen. Parents want to help their children be on the right path. So there's someone in your life who can do that for you, who would want to do that for you, who would be happy to do that for you. Just let go of the ego. What you want to do is pay it forward. So if somebody help you out, then you help someone else out. That's what I did. I feel like when I got my home and I saw, oh my God, for $7,500, I own a 2-bedroom in Harlem. I paid it forward. I helped as many people as I could have that information available to them so that they could do it.
You are phenomenal.
Thank you, Pernell.
So great.
You are as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so grateful that you were able to do this interview. Oh, you dropped some real gems.
So everybody, don't forget, if you're in the New York City area, first-time homebuyer seminar, Reverend Charles Butler. The organization is H for Harlem, C for congregations. The other C and I can't remember, but Google HCCI and sign up for one of their upcoming first-time homebuyer workshops.
You're wonderful. Once again, y'all, Reparations show. She is Mabel, the one and only Mabel Ivory, licensed real estate broker of Westchester, Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, of Engel and Volkers, New York, and she is on her stuff.
Also the world, Engel and Volkers.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Engel and Volkers is a global company. So if you're not in New York area, you need a referral for someone in Atlanta, Florida, Milan, Paris, Germany, South Africa. You can reach out to me and I can refer you to one of my colleagues.
You are wonderful. So thank you so much for being on the show. Reparations.
Thank you for having me. Good luck, everybody, with your goals. Make it happen. If not this year, next year.
Remember this name, Mabel Ivory. Mabel Ivory. Where can they find you?
I'm everywhere. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But I'm reinventing my Twitter. Mabel, spelled Mable, Ivory, like ivory tusk.
Nice. Thank you so much. All right, Reparations show. You better take notes. You better get your coin because she's always going to have that bag. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, my name is Amira Beatty. I'm a licensed special education teacher in New York City. I was asked to give my input on reparations and what I think reparations should look like from my perspective, because I am a teacher. As an educator, you have to go to college. You have to get a bachelor's degree. You have to get a master's degree. So it's mandatory that you take out loans. I did not come from a family that planned ahead. So once I got to college and figured out this is what I wanted to do, I had to make it happen. So with that, I basically stacked up quite a bit, over $100,000 in student loans. So for me, reparations would be the cancellation of all my student loans. I would say my mortgage, but I know that's a bit much, especially since we can barely get anything at this point. So definitely the 40 acres and a mule is a joke. For me, the cancellation of my student loans would be something that would actually help me be able to move on and be a little bit more prosperous. The money that I'm putting on a loan, I can actually be paying my mortgage with. And if you think about it, that would be kind of helping me get my 40 acres and a mule. I hope you're able to get the perspective of my outlook on reparations. Peace.
How y'all doing out there? Y'all still with me? I hope so. So, it's a wonderful show. I'm having fun just watching it. And the next guest that we have is Erica Faye Watson, a brilliant comedian, entrepreneur, and business consultant. Her story is amazing as she interviewed from Jamaica. Hello. So again, we're going to Erica Faye Watson's interview. You can find her on www.ericafaywatson.com. Peace. Here it comes. I see your picture, Erica. Hey! Can you hear me, Mama? I love your pink. Yes, fuchsia.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see your beautiful self. How are you, baby girl?
I'm good. Now, is this background okay, or should I go outside? I am in Jamaica.
Girl, you vacationing, going out there.
Okay. Hopefully my phone won't die. I'm gonna bring my laptop too and try to keep it plugged in. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me
let the people see how you're living on your generational blessings. Hey,
honey. You so silly.
Welcome to the Reparations Show. I am interviewing the wonderful, beautiful, very funny comedian Erica K. Watson, and she is in Jamaica.
Wait, you started the interview already?
No. I'm just letting them know why you're going outside. She's in Jamaica vacationing because she's dope like that.
Girl.
Yes.
Okay, this might be better for me to be outside in the. It's kind of gloomy today, but
yeah.
I think this would be better than me just sitting in front of a wall.
Yeah, I tried the wall, honey. My thing didn't even record on my other computer. I said, okay. So I'm in the living room.
Okay. Let me see.
Really
sit here by the pool.
Come on, by the pool. Come on with. I love it.
I'm happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too, boo.
It's been a long time, honey.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now.
Yes. Come on. Yes, y'all. We're still here with Erica. I love the hair. I love it. Come on, Pink Fro. I love it. So I'm going to give you guys some backstory on Erica. Me and her, we worked together. She was a director on a really cool show that we did for theater. And she's a fierce director. She's a fierce vision and entrepreneur. I mean, she guides people towards their vision and their businesses and just helps them be the best themselves. So this is her fly bio. Homegirls out of Chicago Hyde Park neighborhood with a BA in film production and MA in media management from Columbia College, Chicago. Erica Watson is a writer, actor, stand-up comedian, and film, television, theater director. Hey, Erica is a reoccurring contributor, a reoccurring and very humorous contributor to the ABC 7's Windy City Live. And Erica's first number one woman show, Fat Bitch, was a 2010 Black Theater Alliance Award nominee and was curated at the Brooklyn Museum as part of Target First Sundays in October 2010. Child, you are dope. 2017.
Girl, you don't have to read that whole thing.
I know, I'm like, I mean, I say all this to say Erica is fly. She is accomplished. She is one of my fly friends, and I love her. I love me some Erica.
Thank you.
So
I love you too, girl.
Yes. I'm going to start off this interview with a quote from an article that was written during the time of the George Floyd uprisings. And this very fly woman, Nicole Hannah Jones, wrote a New York Times article June 15, 2020, when everything was kicking up, about reparations. And we're talking about economic justice and financial literacy and our way to gaining our own generational wealth, because it was stripped away from us in so many ways.
Yes.
Via policy, via governmental, whatever. It was just stripped away. And she says, is just a quote, "Wealth is security and peace of mind. It's not incidental that wealthier people are healthier and live longer. Wealth is, as a recent Yale study states, the most consequential index of economic well-being for most Americans. But wealth is not something people create solely by themselves. It is accumulated across generations." She says, if justice and equality are ever to be achieved in the United States, the country must finally take seriously what it owes Black Americans. Come on with it.
What she just said was so on point and beautiful and correct. Yeah.
And it's damn sad that we have.
It's very sad.
You know, like the state of, Black Americans, American descendants of slaves, we're just, we left with a minus to start from, but we still managed.
Absolutely.
Somehow we managed. Lord, thank us. Thank you, Lord. So I want to know, what inspired you on this path of being a comedian, being an entrepreneur, and having a business? Because you fly. I see the seminars for business empowerment. I see how you activate your community to come around people when they need help. What inspired you on this path to be like more business savvy and to know about branding? Because I mean, I'm saying all of this, but this is what I see on your page often. You had vision. She had vision board parties. She's had,
yeah,
and teaching people about how to market themselves, how to just develop themselves into a full business. What inspired you on this path?
Yeah, you know what? For some reason, even though I am a creative person and an artist, there's always been a part of me in the background that was very entrepreneurial and had a keen business savvy. But I just focused more on the arts and being creative and the writing and the directing and all that, and acting silly and being a comic and all that stuff. But truly inside of me, I've always felt this urge to be a business owner and really empower African Americans and African American women and children in particular to really, I want to empower them to empower themselves when it comes to business ownership and understanding that we don't always have to work for someone else. We can own our own businesses and flourish. Yeah. And I don't know, but I didn't give myself permission to go there. I just always thought, well, you're a writer and you're funny, so just stick with the comedy stuff. Who's going to really listen to a funny girl when it comes to matters of business? But I did go to school to get a master's degree in art, entertainment, and media management. And I felt it was really important that I get a grasp of what it means to be really free economically. Now, have I taken on all those principles and am I rich and wealthy right now? No, but even recently I've taken it more.
You got the information? No, you got that information.
Right, I got the information. And it's been in the last 2 to 3 years, really, where I've said, you know what? I'm going to step out and be more of an entrepreneur. Because when you are a performer, when you're an actor, you are your own business. You definitely are an entrepreneur, But many of us, people throw this thing around like, oh, I'm a brand. But a lot of that is just face value, aesthetics. Like I represent myself as a brand. My color scheme matches. I got a cute logo and a font. But it's truly to be a true business and be business minded, I think is the key to really being empowered. So with that being said, one of my talents is helping businesses think very creatively about what they're doing, especially when it comes to getting exposure in the media and working on their PR and media strategies and marketing strategies. I just have a natural gift for it. I never thought that I would go into a business doing that, but I am. And I've been working freelance for the last 2 years doing public relations and media relations for small businesses, mainly Black owned, mainly female owned. And it's my calling, so to speak, because I just like to think outside of the box. It really is another arm of being a director in many ways and coming up with a creative concept for a brand and helping them see the importance of having engagement in the media. So my company is called The Brainstorm because really what I love to do is to get with entrepreneurs and brainstorm on all the different things that they can do creatively for their business. And you'd be surprised. You probably wouldn't be surprised. So many Black businesses, a lot of times are just starting on a wing and a prayer. They're just happy to just be getting out there. They don't even have time to think about a full-on advertising or media strategy or marketing strategy or PR strategy. They just don't. Wow. They're not even thinking about. They don't even get to that step. Just trying to manage the business every day and keep it afloat. So I like to step in and say, these are the things that you can do creatively to get more exposure for your business. And it's been great.
Wow.
I'm sorry if I'm talking too much.
No, you on point. No, everything you're saying is cherished because you got diamonds in your brain that is coming out, you're dropping gems here.
Thank you.
I mean, so what advice would you give somebody to try to be more financially literate in terms of their business? Like, what advice would you, if somebody of color is like, I want to start a business, I don't know how, I want to do it, I don't know how to market it. What am I doing? Do I just do it on my phone? Do I?
Right. Well, and the thing is, I think for one thing, a lot of us start businesses without doing any kind of market research. And you definitely need to be able to know what's going on in your particular market to find out if there's even a need for that kind of business there. Sure, you might like some kind of weird new food item, but does that mean that there's a need for it in the community where you want to start the business? Okay. So I think market research is really important. But even before you go there, I always tell people to do a SWOT analysis, right? So that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you need to do a SWOT analysis of your whole situation. Strengths and weaknesses are internal things, your internal strengths within you and the company, your weaknesses within you and the company, and then opportunities and threats are the external things, the external opportunities out there for your business, and the external threats that could affect whether or not your business can work or not. And you need to do a SWOT analysis, even if you're an actor trying to get out here and make it in this entertainment world, doing a full-on analysis of what it is that you bring to the table that's strong, what's weak, and what opportunities and what threats are out there that could keep you from succeeding in your business. And doing that, to me, will give you a clear picture as far as whether you should even be going into business at all. And if you are going to go into business, having a clear understanding of really what you're working with. You got to know what you're good at. Like if you want to open a workout gym, but you yourself hate fitness, aren't any good at it, and you can't stand fit people, maybe a gym is not the business for you. But once you do the strengths and the weaknesses and opportunities and threats and truly analyze what you have in front of you, it gives you a better clue as to if you can make money, if you can make money, what you should be making money doing to make.
It's so interesting that you mentioned the gyms, because now they have to rethink that whole model for working out. Isn't that something? With like
it's like
Peloton, mirrors, and it's crazy.
Yes. And the thing is, one thing that I think COVID has taught us is that the people that are truly innovative and willing to go with the flow and shift and pivot and all those buzzwords we hear people saying, people that are willing to change up with the times are having very successful, booming businesses. I mean, I've seen some restaurants that pretty much had to close because once they had to go to delivery only or pickup only, that cut out so much of their business without being able to have diners in, that they had to end their business. But then there are other restaurants that were like, you know what, we're going to do. Like I saw a restaurant that's also became a makeshift grocery store for the neighborhood it was in. So not only could you come, so you could come, you can order your food for pickup or delivery, and you could also just get a bag of rice from them or get other things. And they went online where you could actually shop online from their restaurant and order. They're in New York and booming, where somebody else who wasn't able to really think outside the box now is lost in the shuffle. COVID has shown us that you have to be able to alter things in order to keep things going.
It's true.
And if you're not willing to do that, or you don't have the ingenuity or the creativeness to do it, you've got to have some people on your team that do this working for you. Like the best thing to do is to always have people that are smarter than you and better than you in their particular thing. And when you do the strengths and the weaknesses and really analyze yourself, then that's when you can know, you know what, my strengths are this. This is where I'm weak. So that means the people on my team have got to come and be stronger than me in those particular things. But it takes full-on honesty in order to make money. Honesty about the way you manage money, the way you handle money, honest about what money means to you and what your money mentality is. And you got to be honest about who you truly are and what you bring to the table. And it's the same way in dating. You got to just strip down butt naked and look at every bump, wrinkle, every piece of cellulite, every stretch mark. Hey, every jiggle wiggle, everything, every mole, everything that's discolored. You got to look at what your body has to offer and bring to the table before you step out there and start meeting and mingling with folks. It's the same way with a business. You got to strip yourself down to the bare minimum. Get butt ass naked and look and see, what is it that I'm bringing to the table? And if you really are honest with yourself, that doesn't mean you can't go in another direction or a different lane if what you wanted to do isn't really your strength. You just may have to finagle it and do it a different way. I find that people have the hardest time with being honest with themselves. And that's why a lot of times they don't do well in business. And I had to learn that the hard way with me. also the key thing with starting whatever kind of business you're going to do is tap into what your gifts and your talents are and let them serve you. They were given to you for a reason. So don't fight against what God gave you naturally that you just do. A friend of mine is an amazing singer, and she's always done these other odd end jobs, like just things that were horrible for her. She's never successful. And I said, but singing is your thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I'm past my prime. I can't be a Beyonce or Britney Spears or Jill Scott. And I'm like, yeah, but damn girl, you could be a wedding singer. You could be a studio session singer singing background. You could do commercials and jingles. Those are some of the richest singers that are out here. Singers that go on tour with singers and sing background. There's so many different other things you could be doing. I'm like, the holidays alone, you could be singing with a live grand piano in a top tier lobby of a hotel and singing Christmas songs and making a couple $100 a week. You could be the most wanted wedding singer in your town, charging $300 a song every weekend. You can make $1,000 a weekend just singing at a couple of weddings.
What?
I'm sorry. Tap into what comes easy for you, and it'll serve you. And when I decided, oh, I'm funny, let me go ahead and start making money doing comedy and being funny, more opportunities started opening up for me.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. Did your sound go down on you? Like the volume? Just checking. Okay. So like, what are 3 major lessons that you've learned on your journey of attaining generational wealth and financial literacy? I'm just asking for 3, but I know you probably know like 10. You need a YouTube
channel
for this business information you giving. You got a YouTube channel just for the business stuff?
You know what? That's funny because people keep telling me to do that. And I've heard people have been like, Erica, you should be a business coach. You should do these things. I hate that term coach. I just feel like, well, it doesn't really serve me and what I do. I'm more of an amplifier. To me, I'm your cheerleader. I'm the person that kind of will cheer you on versus necessarily coaching you. But this is the thing. I think for number one, especially as African Americans, we have to know the distinct difference between being rich and being wealthy, because there is a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
Wealth, like you said, is generational, and riches can be new money, it can be old money, but generational wealth, if we're going to start working towards that mindset and that understanding and leading towards that with our families, we've got to know what the difference is. I think we also need to make sure that we get the right set of education and get around people that know what they're talking about. And I'm not talking about get rich quick schemes or if you got $500 by next week, you can flip it and make you a millionaire. Because we're gonna do this. It's like, and all these pyramid schemes and all this stuff is, it's like you've got to get educated and learn learn about finances, economics, and financial management from the people that really know what they're doing. Now, does that mean that you need to go find a bunch of millionaires and billionaires and hang around? I'm sure their energy would be good for you, but there are people that are living day to day, making great money, doing very well for themselves, taking care of their families, and starting on that path of generational wealth where they can teach you everything that they know. Because one thing I've noticed about people that walk in abundance and have an abundance mindset, they don't mind sharing.
That's true.
Like here, I'm in Jamaica where there's fruit on the trees everywhere. There's something growing out the ground. There's peppers growing behind me right here. There's an orange tree or a lime tree right across the walkway. So because of that, the fruit and food is abundant here, so people are willing to share. Nobody has a problem giving you some sugar cane or giving you a mango from their yard. But in the U.S., where we're from, where things aren't necessarily plentiful all the time, there's this urge to always hoard and not want to share. I found that people that are living well, that have loads of money, and especially it's been generational, they don't mind giving you the secrets to the trade. Get up with some people that know what they're talking about and don't mind sharing information. But then also research. Go to the library. Everybody can get a public library card. You can go to the card catalog and look up any kind of book about financial literacy, making money, keeping money, and just start studying. I know for me, one thing I started doing was studying the titans of the U.S. wealth, the Rockefellers, the Carnegie, all those types,
Yeah.
J.P. Morgan. And I started reading about them and the way that they got their stuff going. Now, in a lot of ways, they're different. First of all, they're all white men. They came up during an area where they were able to really be the first getting.
It's okay. I hear you now. Yeah, you said being the first, J.P. Morgan's, Carnegie. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, baby. You good.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Come back. But I started reading about these oil tycoons and titans and railroad folks and what their mindset was when it came to building wealth. And I really try to research and study them as much as possible. We have to research. I think that's the three things I would say is understand the difference between being rich and wealthy. Number two, learning all you can, getting around the right people that can educate you, and then doing your own research about the situation. I think those are a good three. And then also, I think people have to analyze what their relationship is with money. There's still in some ways where I have a very poor woman's mindset, and I have to be honest about that. I don't always think about abundance or think about manifesting things that can come my way. Sometimes I act in fear. I remember watching this thing with Will Smith one time, and he was like, after he had made his first 1 or 2 million, he ended up losing it all. And because of that, when he started to recoup his money, he still had a poor man's mentality. He still always lived fearful that he was going to lose the next million versus living in a mindset that would attract more money to him and more opportunities. So I have to check myself daily and say, okay, Erica, first of all, you got to be a good steward of your money. The money that God has sent your way, be responsible with it, make the proper choices with it, do the right things with the money. And you can't live in fear. And every day I have to remind myself, what you scared of? If you see an investment you want to make it. You can't make money if you're afraid you're going to lose what you had. You got to operate without fear in your heart. So that's what I would say. But it's a learning process. I'm still learning. Every day I'm trying to get better. But I at least know I deserve to have what I want in life, and I'm going to get it. And that's how I feel right now. No matter what it is, what I want and work hard for, I deserve. It's mine to have. And sometimes you don't feel worthy. I think that's another thing with Black people. We have to remember we were thought of as 3/5 of a person when we were in the beginnings of us here. We were owned. We were a commodity. We were traded on the stock market. Yes. So when you go from being owned, now it makes sense in many ways why generations later we haven't got the owner mindset, because we had been manipulated and bamboozled into being owned, not owners. And I think that we have to know our worth, and that we are worth whatever our hearts desire. We can get it. It's our time to get it. And I'm really, it's just interesting to me during COVID. COVID has been really bad to some people, but COVID has been super good to some people. There's some folks that are thriving, making all kind of money during this time. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it has to do with a mindset and a shifting of the mind. And that's what I'm working towards.
Come on, vibration. Yes. I'm
trying.
It. I am so proud of you. I want to thank you for doing this interview because I mean, you a joy. I'm just like, I'm just listening and learning. Ciao.
Oh, please.
Yes.
Well, you're already doing great things. I get so excited every time I see you put up something about a role that you've gotten. I try my best to keep up with what you're doing and supporting you. I think you are a brilliant actress. I was so excited when you had on the coochie cutter hoe shorts on that TV show you did when you was the prostitute. Yes. I'm like, look at my friend looking all thick and juicy on TV. I loved it. And the fact that you celebrate your body and love who you are, you're a beautiful, sexy woman, and you're super talented. I'm very excited to see where you go forth. And I'm hoping that I get to direct you again.
Oh, we're gonna work together, honey. That's no doubt. Because I love your energy. You love my energy. I love your spirit and everything. I love how you celebrate your body too. I'm like, come on, plus size is here. We're here, honey. We're living and not starving. But I want to thank you once again, the beautiful, funny, effervescent, vibrant Erica Faye Watson from Jamaica. The Reparations show. Thank you so much for this interview. I know you were dealing with a lot, and I'm praying for whatever that situation was happening around you and everything like that. So
thank you, Pernell.
I love and adore you. So thank you so much for this very informational, you just lifted me up, honey. I'm like, yeah, I want to be a business owner. I want to come on with it. Strip me butt naked.
The money is there. We got to get it because there's people getting it. People getting it.
Yes.
Yeah. And listen, I know we got to go, but sometimes I see my white girlfriends and the way they're living and what they're doing. And I'm like, I should be able to live that way too. I have the talent. I have the abilities. We have obstacles in our way because of us being women of color. And, but that just means we got to be 10 times smarter, 100 times better, you know what I mean, to get the things that we really want. And we can do it.
But then there's also the thing of they're doing their generational wealth. They're benefiting from whatever that generational wealth was passed down. And that's the real wild, crazy thing about it. Without lifting a finger.
It's simple. That's the thing. It's hard to win at a game when all the odds are against you. When the odds are in your favor, it's easier to win at a game. We've got a lot of things coming at us in different ways. From redlining that keeps us in certain kinds of neighborhoods. The discrimination and racism when it comes to hiring practices on jobs, the differentiation, you know what the word is, in the pay gap between somebody of color and somebody that is white. We have all these things. So a lot of times,
you're muted. Somehow you're still muted. Yeah. Okay, you good. It
keeps doing that on its own.
Oh.
It's just muting. When my white friends got out of college, many of them were given a nice check as a gift to put a down payment on their first little condo or whatever they were going to get, because their families were able to cash in life insurance policies. And how many of us have life insurance? I don't know why this keeps muting. That might be the computer's way of saying, shut up, girl. So it's telling me to be quiet. So
but you know what? I remember there was an article that was telling Black folk that
in order for us to have generational wealth, it takes somebody in the family, the Pernell in the family, the Erica, somebody, one of our nieces and nephews, to say we're gonna break the generational curses and start working towards generational wealth. Because financial illiteracy is a generational curse. So we want wealth for the generations. We've got to break the curse. Somebody has to be the one in the family to say, I'm going to do well by my money. I'm going to get the right kind of education. and I'm gonna do things differently, because you're setting it up now so that 2, 3, 4 generations from now, they can say, great aunt Pernell Walker did all these wonderful things, and because of that, I can drive my Rolls Royce right now. Yeah. So somebody has to be willing to break the generational curse.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, and if not us,
starting to break the curses by the information you're giving.
You gotta break the curse.
So I love you and I appreciate you so much.
I love you too, friend.
You're gorgeous. So thank you so much.
I
love that interview.
Good, yay. Thank you.
All right, Reparations show. That was Erica Faye Watson. Check her out on her YouTubes, on her. Oh, give out your social handles. Let them know where to find you, honey.
Oh yeah. So on Instagram, I am Miss Pound Cakes. That's my stripper name. That's my other source of generational wealth. So it's MISS_Pound Cakes. And then I have a late night talk show that'll be starting back up very soon called Nightcap with Erica. And if you go to nightcapwitherica.com, you can get the links to my YouTube and all my pages with that, and tune in and watch the show.
Cool. Thank you so much. I love you and appreciate you. You dope. That's it.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a great one.
Thank you very much.
Peace.
Thank you.
This show is so uplifting to my spirit. I'm still here, y'all. So I'm going to do a little housekeeping. Shout out to Frigid, New York, for helping sponsor this whole thing. You can pay what you can ticket at Frigid NYC or via Venmo at Frigid New York. Note Reparations. So if you want to donate to keep things like this going, this kind of programming that they're helping put on, go to Frigid NYC's Venmo at Frigid, FRIGID, New York, and make your donations so we can have fabulous programming about what we need in our communities and reparations. So the next interview is with the fabulous Mandy Mason and her beautiful business that she started with her partner called Apostrophe. And so you'll see how she started on her path and how she's inspiring other people too. Beautiful artwork. Look at that. I love it. So once again, here's Mandy Mason's interview. Enjoy.
All right. Mandy! Hey! You can't hear me? Oh.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Hey!
Hey, thank you so much for doing this. The Reparations show.
The Reparations show.
Give me my money. I'm so glad you made yourself available. You are a beautiful spirit. Okay, I gotta brag about my fly friends, y'all. So, Mandy, yes, is a very accomplished actress who I have done many readings with, and I am in awe of her gifts. And she is an entrepreneur, and she is Brooklyn-based, right?
BK all day.
And so she says in her bio, Mandy Mason is a Brooklyn-based actor, writer, entrepreneur, and she loves her some Pernell. I love her. I love me some her too. Come on. Oh. Before we begin, I'd like to start off with a quote from an article about economic justice and why this show, I wanted to base it on financial literacy and doing what we have to do to get the generational wealth that's been denied or for whatever reason, we know why. It's not there. So this is an article that I researched from Brookings, www.brookings.edu, and it talks about the racial wealth gap. And it was 2020 June when all this stuff was hitting the fan with George Floyd. Okay. So it says during Reconstruction and thereafter, frequently when Black descendants of the enslaved managed to achieve some degree of prosperity, their communities were destroyed by white massacres. The examples are too numerous to list here, but they do include the infamous Tulsa Massacre of 1921, when airplanes were used to firebomb Black Wall Street and its surrounding neighborhoods. And we all know that Black Wall Street was a very successful, it's just crazy the stuff that happened, but it was a very successful, self-contained Black businesses thriving, supporting each other, economics just out the roof. And so here we are, and we keep striving toward that generational wealth. And that's why I'm proud of you. She is a very accomplished entrepreneur, and you also have a wedding business too that you style brides.
Right. That was the first business. That was I did bridal consulting. Yeah.
Wait, y'all. She said that was the first business. Come on, y'all. Come on. We got that was the first business. Okay.
That was the first one.
And I love this on your website. She has a wonderful business now dealing with puzzles and really putting a light on different images that we need to see ourselves in, curating art from people of color onto the puzzles, which is so cool. And this is so cute. I love it. I got my notes. I researched. Okay. I'm going to get my CNN, boo. I'm going to get my CNN job. Okay. So it says that puzzles, I just love how you worded this. Puzzles are a fantastic tool of mindfulness and self-care. Yes. And you have this business with your partner, and I'll let you say what you want to say about your wonderful business that you have recently started and that won an award.
Yeah, we got a grant. We got an American Express I Fund Women of Color grant. Yeah, which was pretty amazing. Unexpected as well.
My friend's a fly. Look at that. She said, I just got this grant. She just said it like she was just getting coffee. I just got this grant on my second business, and I love it. Yeah. Congratulations. You are beautiful. So tell us a little bit about your business and what inspired you on that path of entrepreneurship and going towards generational wealth and economic justice for yourself.
Right, because that's actually part of our business model too. So Apostrophe Puzzles is a puzzle company that celebrates the work of contemporary artists of color. We also partner with nonprofit arts organizations that are working to expand access and arts accessibility in communities of color. We noticed, well, I'll go back to the beginning. I love puzzles. I grew up doing them all the time. But I haven't done one in a long time. And then there was an artist whose work I loved, and I emailed him last year because I'm like, I want to buy this painting. This painting is like speaking to my spirit. And I emailed him, and it was like $9,000. And so I was, and it's worth it. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I can't afford that.
It is.
So, I kind of made it the background on my phone, and I kind of like moved on. And then Kareem was hosting one of his open mic nights, and I wrote a piece it was really about relationships, but I was kind of using puzzles metaphors. And as I was writing it, I was talking to my partner, and he was like, I didn't know you did puzzles. And I was offended. I was like, how could you not know that I did puzzles? That's an integral part of my childhood, my development as a person. Like, how could you not know this? And he was like, I don't know that because you haven't done one since we've been together. We've been together for like 6 years. And I was like, oh shit, okay. He was right. So for my birthday, he decided to get me a puzzle because he obviously we had that conversation. So he wanted to get me a puzzle and he couldn't find anything that I would like. So he knew I wanted that painting. So he made a puzzle, like a custom puzzle on like Shutterfly or something of that painting and gave it to me for my birthday. And it was amazing. I was crying. It was a mess, but it was gorgeous. And as we were piecing it together, we were having this conversation, like he couldn't find anything that he thought I would like because there wasn't really anything on the market that spoke to what I was interested in. I haven't done a puzzle in a long time for that same reason. There's nothing that spoke to my interest or, you know, reflected my aesthetic or reflected our culture back to us at all. And so the more that we kind of looked into it, the more we also realized that, you know, artists of color are, I don't want to say they're completely left out because there are a couple companies that are trying to include us more, but for the most part, there aren't a lot of puzzles that feature people of color or that have artists that are people of color. And the more we looked into it, we realized that artists of color have that same issue of exclusion from the art world. It's harder for them to get representation. It's harder for them to get into museums. It's harder for them to get into into galleries. So we were like, what if we could find an interactive way for people, not just people of color, but people to interact with artists of color, learn more about their work, and kind of engage with art in a different way? How can we bridge the gap of who has access to great art without being dependent on traditionally white institutions that are fairly exclusive? So that's where the idea came from. And we were talking about it starting in the summer of last year. We incorporated in December of last year. We got everything together. We were getting ready to go into production in March, and the factory shut down. Yes. Everything shut down. Wow. And when they reopened, puzzles exploded during shutdown because everyone was stuck at home. Keep in mind, we were doing this before puzzles came back into vogue, right? This was in 2019, before COVID, when just geeky people like us were talking about puzzles. So during that shutdown, puzzles, they just exploded everywhere. So when the factory opened back up, they were like, the demand is too high. You're too small of a company. We can't do your order. Wow. So we lost. It was crazy. So for months we were calling every US manufacturer, and they were all like, come back in 2021, come back in 2022. You know, we don't have space for you. It's everyone is demanding it, and we don't have space for a small order like yours. So we were finally able to find a manufacturer in probably June or July of this year. And have been like working like a dog. We have our puzzles. They're coming in January. We are doing pre-order. Here's one right here. But it's kind of been like nonstop working. We were on the phone today with an artist for a second collection. She said yes, so we're very excited about that. So yeah, that's a long answer to your question, but that's the story.
It works, honey. Thank you so much for all of the info. Yes. So what advice would you give somebody that wants to go into the entrepreneurial field that you're in, to become financially more literate? Like, where do they start from? I know you start from with the vision, but like, okay.
Well, I mean, no, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, what advice would you give somebody else that wants to go into like being an entrepreneur?
For being an entrepreneur, I guess it's the same advice I would kind of give an actor, like, don't do it to be rich. If that happens, that's amazing, but you have to be driven by an idea, your passion, whatever that happens to be. You have to strongly believe in the validity of what you're doing. Don't be like, I want to do this because I want to make money. That might work for you. That's great. I feel like that doesn't work for most people. But that also lends itself to having your own idea of what success is. So you don't necessarily have to be a multi-million-dollar corporation, but you can be a very successful small business, just running off of your own vision and your own creativity. One of the things I would say would be to get out of your own way. I would also say that it's important to. It's very personal starting a business. People compare it to having a baby. I don't know about that. I've never had a child, but you feel very protective of it. You feel very invested in it. It feels like an extension of yourself. So like when we first started out, we had artists that said no. They had every reason to say no. We didn't really exist yet, but like it hurt. You know what I mean? Like you take it personally. But one of the things I would say is you have to give people the opportunity to show up for you. There are many times during this past year that were really challenging. And I felt like, well, it's our business. We have to struggle through it. And, we have to just deal with, and it was like, no, actually, we can ask for help. We can ask for guidance. We can ask for support. There is a woman who runs a very successful one of the most successful puzzle companies in the country. And we were having a hard time. And I was able to get her information through like an angel, and I didn't want to call her because I didn't want it to seem like I was bothering her. I didn't want it to seem like I had my hand out. You know what I mean? I didn't want to give her the wrong impression. I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm your competition. I want to ask you. Like, I had all these reasons why I should not call her, as opposed to just being like, let her do what she's going to do, but you have to open the door. She's been one of the most integral parts of the success of this business to this point. She has, again, no reason to help us. We're actually coming into a market that she kind of dominates. And she's like, how can I help you? She'll call me out of the blue. What do you need? Right. But I would have closed the door on that had I not allowed people the opportunity to show up for me. Even with the crowdfunding, I did not want to do it. I was like, if we're doing this, we need to do it ourselves. I don't want to ask people for help. You were in the middle of a pandemic. People are struggling. It seems insensitive, yada, yada, yada. Kareem was like, I don't understand your problem. Like, do a crowdfunding campaign. And Dante was like, let's do a crowdfunding campaign. And I'm like, no, we have to do it ourselves. Like, I don't want people to think, I don't want to be like, hey, we did this thing, but like, we actually can't do it. We need everyone's help. But dealing with the reality of like, because of the pandemic, we lost our jobs. We started this business with our savings. And I was talking to our manufacturer, and she was like, oh, your product would be great for crowdfunding. And I'm like, no, I don't really want to do that. And I listed all these reasons why. And she was like, okay, I hear you. And then she was like, but if people want to give you money, let them give you money. And that hit me in a way that I just, okay. I don't know. It's really that easy, but it felt like I was being a burden to other people during a time when we were already burdened. And it didn't sit right with me. But it's like, we're not forcing you to give us money. If you want to, if you have extra, if you feel like donating, like, sure. But
your whole thing is an uplifting mission of giving people more access to view this art that they may be exposing.
Right. So, and had we not done that crowdfunding campaign, we wouldn't have got this grant with American Express. Right. So it's hard. It's for me, for someone like me who like tries to like, not necessarily be control of everything, but just like, I just want to make sure everything's okay. I just want to do everything myself. It's hard to be like, okay, I'm putting this out here. Who wants to contribute to what this could be? Who wants to show up for us? And I don't necessarily mean financial, but like, who wants to be a part of growing this thing? And people just showed up. It was shocking. I had no idea. But it was, I had to learn how to let people do that for us.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
That's amazing. It's an amazing journey you're having right now. That's really nice. What are your 3 major lessons? Well, one, you said get out of the way. Hello. What are the other 2 major lessons do you think you've learned from starting this really beautiful business?
I think one of them would be if you are able to hire an accountant. Or find a way to you can do it yourself on a spreadsheet, whatever. Pay attention to your money. Pay attention to what's going in, pay attention to what's going out, pay attention to what your expenses are, your business costs, like all that stuff. It adds up faster than you think. And I know not everyone's able to just hire an accountant, but there are classes online. There are things you can do. There's so many resources for financial literacy. It's very, very important. Things that I don't even think about, like taxes, end of year taxes, quarterly taxes, business expense. I had no idea. And then we have a nonprofit partnership that we give a percentage to. We have our artists give a certain percent. So it's tracking those numbers quarterly. And these are things I had no idea how to do. I still don't really know how to do all of it, but we hired someone who does know how to do it. And making that investment in the beginning allows us to be more successful long-term because we're not making mistakes that we would have made had we tried to do it ourselves. So I guess it's like, if you find something difficult or you don't know how to do something, it is okay to hire a professional to help you do it, or to walk you through how to do it. Don't try to do everything yourself. You might be I consider myself a very talented person. I have a lot of skills and abilities. They don't extend everywhere, right? So it's okay to bring someone on to kind of make up where you might not be the strongest. Another thing I would say, honestly, this is probably one of the most important things. I think, especially when you're starting out, worry less about the how and focus on your why. There were a lot of things we did not know how to do. We did not know how to start to do. We didn't know anything about puzzle manufacturing when we started, and we learned as we went. But because the why was what was driving us, and we were clear on our vision and what we wanted this to be, the how kind of made itself known. The how opened up to us in a way that had we been focused on like, how do we do this, we would have been stuck because we don't know how to do it. But because we know why and we're focused on the why and operating from that place, the how makes itself known to you. So don't stop yourself from pursuing the vision because you don't know how you're going to do it. As long as you know why you're doing it, it will reveal itself to you. Amazing. We didn't know jack about starting a puzzle company.
Wow.
Nothing.
That is nothing. So how can people find this brilliant business online? What are your Instagram handles? What are your YouTube handles? What is your website? I want everything. I want everybody to know where to go to get these fabulous puzzles for the Christmases. Yes.
For the Christmas, so we're doing pre-orders so they don't ship till January. Just know that in advance. Okay. We're on Instagram at Apostrophe Puzzles. Okay. Our website is apostrophepuzzles.com. Okay. That's kind of it right now. We're working on some retail partnerships that once, when you can go out in the world safely again, you can find us in a couple stores. So those are the main places you can find us online.
That is amazing, Mandy Mason. I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much for coming on the Reparations Show, where we showing people how to get them coins. Get the coins. But I'm so proud of you.
Secure the bag, sis.
Yes, get the bag. Get all of the bags. And I'm just so proud of you, and I'm proud of the website. You have such an impressive spread here, and you're dope. You're dope, sis.
Thank you. I built that, girl. Thank you. You are too.
Don't make me take off my wig and shake it. She said, I built it. Ah! That is amazing. I'm going to be for you.
That's one thing I was like, we don't have to hire someone to do that. I think I can work this out. So
congratulations. And thank you once again for coming on. Once again, this is Mandy Mason and her Apostrophe Puzzles. Thank you so much for coming on. I love you, Mama. Yes, yes.
I love you too. Bye.
Yes, peace.
For me, reparations for people of African descent who live in the United States includes equity in housing, education, healthcare, the performing arts, and other areas where Black people have, where there have been large disparities for people of African descent.
All right. Thank you guys for staying in with us. And last but totally not least is a really great financial consultant, Charles Becko, giving us the ins and outs of the stock market and financial literacy and how that has played in his life in attaining his generational wealth and helping others to do the same. Quick note, I want to give a shout out before I forget to the folks that are making the backstage TV, YouTube stuff move so smoothly. Shout out to Morgan. Thank you so much. Joey, thank you. Kevin R. Faree and Erez, thank you guys so much. I'm so grateful for all of you have done to make me not look crazy in these streets. So without further ado, Mr. Charles Becko.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hey. Huh?
No, we're good.
Okay, the Reparations show. Lord have mercy. What am I saying? The Reparations show is now with Charles Pico, the one and only. So what's
Hello.
up, Reparations show? I'm Pernell
Hey,
Walker. How are you doing,
yep.
Charles?
We all right. Little CPT today.
It's
Apologize
okay.
for the CPT today.
Okay, it's all good. We're here. We're ready to get this information, to get this coins. And I'm going to say some information on the amazing Charles Pico. He is an accredited financial consultant at Bridge Financial Group, a published financial article. He published a financial article accurately predicting the 2020 stock market crash back in January, pre-COVID. Now that's big. I read that. It's on the Medium. He has a couple of really interesting, great articles on the Medium. One about his father. I'm so sorry about your dad and his COVID experience. That gives a lot of insight into the inadequacies, the unpreparedness that happened in the hospitals, and a lot of different issues. He's a moderator of 5,000 member crypto group. Cryptocurrency. All right now. Wow, you've been trading in stocks since 2008, bruh. Nice. He is an MBA grad, 08 magna cum laude, and he is certified and he is ratified. So before we begin, I've been reading a quote to start off the vibe of the interview that has to do with reparations and the importance of generational wealth and financial literacy. And this is a article from the New York Times that was done by Nicole Hannah-Jones. And this was in the midst of the George Floyd stuff that was going on. And she was telling everyone in the article about the importance of reparations, why it is due, why it is necessary to have us not be in positions to be subject to the violence of the George Floyds, of the Breonna Taylors, and the accumulating wealth. She said, wealth is security and peace of mind. It's not incidental that wealthier people are healthier and live longer. Wealth is, as a recent Yale study states, the most consequential index of economic well-being for most Americans. But wealth is not something people create solely by themselves. It is accumulated across generations. New York Times article, June 30th, by Nicole Hannah-Jones, and she says, if true justice and equality are ever to be achieved in the United States, the country must finally take seriously what it owes to Black Americans. So on that note, we will begin this with the amazing Charles Pico. Also, he's not only a financial consultant, he's also a filmmaker, director, writer, and actor. And cinematographer.
More producing than directing.
Okay, and producing. Well, that's great. So what inspired you on this path of financial consulting and being financially literate and going on the path of generational wealth, attaining that for yourself? What inspired you on that path?
Two things. And thank you for the question, by the way. Number one, when I was a kid, I kind of had a silly idea of what Wall Street was. I used to just watch these TV shows and looked at these guys in the news. They looked very sharp in their suits. And I heard buy, 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 sell, sell, sell. And it was just so exciting to me, the whole Wall Street culture. And back then, in the early 90s, all you heard about was being a stock broker. And that's what I said I wanted to do. But when I kind of grew up and I got some education, I figured out a stockbroker is really just a salesman. I've been a salesman anyway, pretty much all my life, or at least some kind of salesman, right? Some kind of deal maker. But a stockbroker is not really what I really wanted to be. What I really wanted to be, and I developed into, was a trader and investor. That's the one half. The other half was I grew up with parents who were union workers. You know, my father was with the MTA, TWU, Trans Workers Union. My mother is still a part of 1199, the nurses union. And I saw in our community how you could kind of work, and you know the money comes in through the front door and sometimes go out the window. That's how it used to be, but now you know a lot of the union jobs are very good jobs, and you're able to not only bring in income, but also build a reasonable amount of discretionary income as well with those professions. Now, even with that being said, those are all respectable jobs and professions. Those in of themselves, they're not really designed to build wealth or to get you out of that. You know, a child cannot inherit a job. You know, a child can inherit a company. You can inherit a business. You can inherit a trust fund. You can inherit stocks and bonds. You can inherit assets, you know, but you can't inherit a job. And so, I guess this is a little bit more personal, but, you know, I found out that even with some of my friends and relatives that had worked, you know, those kind of jobs, you know, when they die, like even that pension could die with them, you know, and they could be working that entire life, you know, working for that pension, you know. And so, you know, there's needs and cause for a lot of financial literacy, because even that, imagine you have you had a pension that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and imagine you not checking off a box is the difference between that pension dying with you and a portion of that pension being left over for your family.
Wow.
You know, and it's that real, it's that serious, and they benefit from, you know, your ignorance and our ignorance, our collective ignorance. And so, as part of what I do is, we actually have a stock trading group called Brooklyn Traders. We got started in July, and we've got a few dozen members so far. What I'm hoping to do with that group, and just through publishing a lot of stock related things, investing related things through social media, is to educate people on what they need to do to kind of get out of, you know, kind of this cycle, and then kind of close the wealth gap between us and everybody else.
And I remember you giving the Facebook tutorial for folks that wanted to learn about stocks and how to trade and goes and what not to short and all this other stuff. And I was there, and it really did inspire me to start investing in some stocks. So I started that for myself. So I thank you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I did. And I'm going to put some more in there. So I see what it means to really see it grow, you know. So yeah, that was really good. I was really happy about that tutorial you gave. So what advice would you give someone who would like to be financially literate? Like, where do they start?
Well, where we all of us millennials get our training and education from, you could go to YouTube University. Hey, you know, I've heard of people learning how to fly planes on YouTube. I have me and my partner, we run a small electrical construction business, and you know, some of the junior guys, you know, we tell them to go to YouTube to learn how to plug up fiber optics. You know, and fiber optics, that's like a really intense skill to be knowing how to do, working with low voltage, and you can learn all that straight from the YouTube. You know, so I would say YouTube would be your first stop. There are some books. I have a list of books that I could kind of leave with you. You know, one is like Mastering the Trade. There's a book from Warren Buffett called Interpreting Financial Statements. There's others on volume price analysis. There's ones on how to trade doji candles, and there's lots of good education out there if you really look. And you know, the very first thing you have to do is to, if anything, is to get over the fear of not knowing. You know, one of my uncle who started investing this year, he said that he sat down and he watched Apple grow over the years. And he was just so afraid, from just not knowing the information, and he didn't trust anybody to tell him anything, and this is somebody who grew up in the 70s and 80s and and so imagine if even just $1,000 buying Apple in the 90s,
Wow.
So if you like when you and I suppose go to college, I don't think we're too far away from age. When you and I both went to college, Apple stock was like $60 and $70. Today, Apple stock is worth closer to $3,500 or $4,000 in that amount of time. And just $1,000 could change your life. $1,000 invested today could change your life 10, 20 years from now. For instance, last year I told everyone to invest in Uber. I said, if you want to plan for your retirement, invest in Uber about $5,000 if you had it. Put $5,000 in Uber and forget it. That was a Facebook post that was posted August the 19th, 2019. And I remember it because I show people it from time to time. And if you would have did that at that time, that $5,000 would have turned into over 50 today. Uber reached an all-time high of $650. No, what am I talking about? I'm bugging. I'm sorry. Uber recently had a reverse split. So if you use the reverse split numbers, that $300 a share Uber is actually worth well over $2,600, $2,700 today. And that happened in 1 year.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
Yep.
It's kind of like what COVID did to Amazon stock. I said, wow, what?
Yeah,
what
doubled in 1 year.
Yeah, it just went up and shot up through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what would be the 3 major lessons that you learned on your journey, to attaining generational wealth and financial literacy? Like, what's the 3 major lessons that you could say?
Well, for me, the rumor around town is that I'm a know-it-all, and I admit to that. I would say the first thing that was a lesson for me was that I don't know anything. That I know nothing. The way that the Wall Street and the stock game goes is, the game is sold, not really told.
Okay, Snoop.
No, it's true. It's true. The game is sold. Like when a Wall Street person looks at everybody else, it's like a closed circuit. It's like show business, right? It's like you have your inner circle, your inner group, and these people have all the power, they have all the resources, and they work with and against each other, and they benefit from ignorance. Your ignorance is their payday. I remember the first time I was sitting down, and one of the older guys came in, and he says, yeah, did any paper come through the door today? And I'm like, what's paper? And paper is you and me. There's Wall Street and there's Main Street. Main Street is known as dumb money. Wall Street is known as smart money. And so the difference between you and them is not only education, but they also have a wide range of resource. So you attaining knowledge is the first step to breaking the chains. And for me, the way that I got started, I opened up an account with like $15,000, and I was like, all right, let me go to Yahoo Finance and figure out what to buy. And that was a poor plan. That was a poor plan. Trust me. I took a lot of bumps in the road getting started like that. If I had to pick a number 2 to that, try to find actually somebody that's in the game or somebody that just knows more than you. I would say that learning how to trade or invest is kind of like the difference between somebody who goes to the gym versus somebody who never goes to the gym. Somebody who never goes to the gym, they're just so much more frail, so much like just weaker than a person who goes to the gym. I can imagine if these two people had to fight, it just wouldn't be a fair fight. So, you know, try to get some tutelage, try to get some knowledge from somebody, and somebody that hopefully you could trust, you know. Number 3 is, and I guess this kind of ties into number 1, no knowledge is useless. You can't be less prepared. I mean, you can't be over prepared. The more you study, the more time you put in, the more hours you put in, minutes and seconds, increases the likelihood that you'll have a better go at it, rather than, you know, trying to shotgun it. And to kind of put a button on what I'm talking about, I like to give you an example that I give my students. So here at Brooklyn Traders, I have a little trading academy here, and we not only execute on proven stock strategies and setups that we use to take money from market, but we also educate. You know, we have two plans. We have a plan where we can say, okay, here's a list of stock plays. Here's a newsletter explaining why these plays will work and what to do and whatever. Here's a market update. So that's one plan. Then the other plan is all that. Plus, it's also education, where we do 2 Zoom meetings a month. That is an hour and a half. And we have a class and we educate people. And so one of the examples that I give to my students is, think about buying a big screen TV, okay? And I want to ask you, Pernell, if you had to buy a big screen TV, okay, how much time would it take you to buy a big screen TV?
Today, like right now?
Yeah, if your TV fell down, broke, and you need to go buy a new one, how much time would you take to research and find a big screen TV, a replacement?
I would just go, well, for me, I would just go to PC Richards and be like, okay, what's your latest model? And let them try to sell me what they have. And I don't know. I don't really research TVs like that. I just would go and I'd be like, okay, I need a TV. What's your models? And then I'll try to see which one fits for what I need. But,
so like a few hours though, right? At least you would say, even if it's just a TV. Okay. So if you had to buy a car, how long would you spend to buy a car?
I'd probably be there like all day. Most likely.
No, I mean, in your planning or research to buy a car, how long would that take? Would you say you'd spend a day looking for a car? Would you spend a week? Would it be a month? Like how long, if you had to research, say, I'm gonna get a car, how long would that process take?
Probably a month.
Okay. So it'll take just want to recap here. It'll take a couple hours to buy a TV. It'll take a month to buy a car. How long would it take you to buy a house?
I would say to buy a house or to get the loan from the bank or something. I don't know. I think it would probably be maybe a couple of months to a year, 6 months to a year, to really get yourself in order to be prepared to make like a down payment and stuff.
Okay, that's good. And this is not a trick question. I'm not setting you up. Okay, you look nervous. You look like I'm about to just bang.
What?
No, I ain't gonna shoot you. No, I'm not setting you up. I promise. So let's just recap. Okay, you said it would take a couple hours to buy a TV. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You said it would take. It would take about a month to buy a car, correct?
Yeah.
And you said it would take a few months to a year to buy a house. Is that correct?
Yes. Now I gotta ask you: am I buying the car to lease it, or am I buying it to own? Because that's like
this is your car. This is your baby. This is the mobile. This is the hoop. This is the wagon. This is what you.
This is what I would own. Oh please! It don't take a month to buy a car because you have to pay. You have to do the payments and stuff like that. That's like years. sometimes.
Okay. All right. But it takes a while, basically. It takes
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we've got those different time frames. Okay. Now I'm gonna just throw some numbers out there because I know what frames just the time with this example. So a TV could cost somewhere between $500 to $1,000. Would you agree with that? Round those numbers?
Yeah.
For now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A car would be somewhere between 5,000 to possibly 15 to 20,000. Is that a good number?
Yeah.
Okay. And a house could be like, well, in New York, right? It'll be like in New York. If you want to buy a house in New York, you can't find nothing under like 400 grand and up. Is that correct?
For the most part, depending on how many rooms in what area that's not gentrified yet.
Now, this is the punchline, so you're ready for it, okay? The punchline is here.
I'm waiting for it. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Third punchline here. Okay. So would you believe that it takes most people around 10 to 15 minutes to execute a trade on a stock, and they will put down 500, 5,000, 10,000, and 20,000 off of like 10 or 15 minutes worth of just looking at the chart, knowing nothing about anything about trading. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
That's the truth. Now, could you imagine spending all that time to get a TV, to get a car, and to get a house, and then spend twice, 3, 4 times the money in a not even, you can't even call it a fraction. What kind of fraction is that? 0.000% of the time that it would have taken you, and you're spending the same amount of money. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, this reminds me of when the stock market crashed in 2008, and it was like in minutes, trillions of dollars were lost. I'll never forget that. To your point of how you could just make a split choice like that, and it's all of your money. And I mean, I'll never forget that when he said, "Oh my God, we just lost $1 trillion." I said, "What?" So.
Yeah, and how about this? We just spent like 6 or 7 trillion.
Jesus.
We spent. How about this? We just spent 6 or 7 trillion to companies that got hundreds of billions. Meanwhile, each American family has only got $1,200 stimulus check.
Crazy.
Yeah. Put that in. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow, this is eye-opening.
So, taking the time to research, study. You can't. There's no amount of studying or research that you could do that will be a detriment to your profitability.
True. Well, thank you, Charles Pico. Let the Reparations Show know, where can they reach you? How do they become a part of your Brooklyn Academy of Brooklyn Traders? And all of your social handles. We want to know where you are, where you be.
Everything for me is at Charles Becco. We just got an Instagram. We were really late with that. So you can now do at Brooklyn Traders for the Instagram. We're working on the website. The website will be www.brooklyntraders.net. And if you just put that in the Facebook, Brooklyn Traders, you'll be able to find us. We have a great community here. I lead the classes and the chat. We have a chat. We have newsletters. We have chat, newsletters. We have a free class that we give people, all for $20 a month. We're not trying to break the bank on nobody. We understand people have different stratas and incomes, and so we just try to make it as affordable as possible. And you get throw in 2 Zoom classes in there for $40 a month, which is for some people a meal or a few beers, or if you smoke or something, like that could be somebody's habit for the day. For $3. So We try to make it as affordable and as accessible as possible. What we do here is we teach people how to trade and invest from A to Z. And I like to say that if you're at a level 0 and you're just a newborn baby, if the stock game is from 0 to 100, we try to bring you to about a 30 or 40. So we do a lot of hand holding, and I designed a curriculum to help people who've never, like, what's a stock? Is it a stonk? Like, whatever it is, and we try to really give a lot of hand holding there. So at Brooklyn Traders, at Charles Becko, and you can reach out to me via Facebook or Instagram.
Cool. Thank you so much for this helpful information. Once again, it's Charles Becko, an accredited financial consultant, hanging with the Reparations Show, huh?
It was Biko. What happened? It was Biko, not Becko now.
You said Becko, and I said, oops. In my head, I said, ooh, I done got it wrong. My public schooling done showed out.
Look, it's fine.
Is it Becko or Biko?
It's Becko, but it's cool. You can call me Biko. It's cool. You call me Biko. Call me Biko. It's fine. I work for a market. I got a joke for you before we go.
Sorry. Charles Becko.
One of the very first, you can say one of the very first successful ventures I had was to bring a company from 0 to basically making millions in revenue. So I helped build $1 million company from A to Z. And the CEO there, when I came to the front door, he says, "It's Charles Bacco." And so he just kept calling me Bacco, Bacco. And I thought, I know people are very persnickety about their name.
Yeah.
But I'm not at all. Just don't call me Chuck because it rhymes with another word. So you can call me whatever you want, just not Chuck. Okay. But he just called me Bacco, and it stayed. So now all my company emails was Charles.Bacco, Bacco. And I actually have a LinkedIn. Believe it or not, I have a LinkedIn that's called Charles Bacco, Bacco.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it became a thing.
Well, I thank you so much for being available for this as a guest, and you're amazing. It's really cool talking with you. I learned a lot. You've inspired me to start buying and investing in stocks, so I'm grateful for you. And thank you for coming on the Reparations Show, getting that coin, get that bag. Have a great one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless. Thank you. Take care.
All right, y'all. We have done it. That was the show. I hope you loved it. I hope you took notes. I hope you go back and watch again what you missed or whatever. And again, I want to show my many thanks and my gratitude to Kevin R. Free, to Emily Godfrey, to Ereziv, Joey Neal, Morgan Johnson, for helping me make this show a success. And I think my amazing guests, Mabel Ivory, Felicia Harden, Erica Faye Watson, Mandy Mason, Charles Bicco, and the folks that have contributed via the Reparations Opinions, Amira Beatty, Germano, thank you. Reggie Moore, thank you. AJ Muhammad, thank you. And thank you for watching, y'all. Again, if you want to contribute to this kind of programming, go to Frigid NYC and make a donation, or via Venmo at Frigid New York. That's their Venmo, and put in quotations reparations. You can pay reparations by buying a pay what you can ticket at Frigid NYC. Again, this has been a joy. So I'm very grateful to everyone who's pitched in and made this a success. So again, I'm out. I'm done. Okay, I'm gonna let my hair down. And that was the Reparations Show. Thank you.